Hi there, this is Julie with PhotoFabPaperFlowers, and let's make template 12 mini flower. So you're going to set up your project according to the instruction document when you purchase the template. So it comes with a sepal, some leaves, and 2 different petal designs, as you'll see as we create the flower. So I provide you the individual files in SVG and PNG format, so you'll upload it, name it as I have it noted on the instruction document for the sepal, the leaves, the petals, and the center, okay? And then you're gonna duplicate it and size it according to the instruction document. And I do that because I like to mix my templates to create new flowers, so that way you're getting your money's worth out of my templates, that we create them and mix them and match them, and it creates lots of fun possibilities in creating new flowers. Okay, so again, set it up according to everything in the instruction document, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. Now I did prep some of the petals because if you choose to optionally ink it the way I am, it does take a little bit of time. So you can do as much inking as you want or as little as you want, okay? So I'm just gonna put a piece of scratch paper underneath my work surface here, and I'm choosing, and depending on what color that you use, you can change your ink colors and your marker colors, that you're gonna use. So I like to use Ground Espresso and Vintage Photo, and they're both distress oxides, and they hold really well on 65-pound cardstock. The other 2 items that I'm using 2 markers. One is the Sharpie, the ultra fine point I would use, and that's for one of the steps. And you definitely need the ultra fine point. And then another one is just a regular black marker. This is by Blick Studio, and I do order them online, and it comes with 2 different points. Okay. So for our sepal, I chose to use some Vintage Photo. Now you certainly can use a green distress oxide if you want to. One of my favorites is Forest Moss, but I'm choosing to use the browns in all of my designs. And each flower I used was a soft peach, a beige, but you can use any color with this flower. It is a made-up flower. It is not based on anything. You could use red for Valentine's Day, yellow, oranges, some fall colors, purple, whichever you like. That's what's so much fun about paper flowers. So I'm just gonna go around the edges. So what you can do is go around one whole side. Okay, so I go around. And we are certainly going to have fun with this flower once I continue to work with the template. So be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, PhotoFabPaperFlowers, because we will continue to make different types of flowers with this template. So it's not just one way you can create a flower. This is just the way I chose to do it when we released the template. Okay. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to add it on the opposite side. So I do one whole side. Okay, so I go around the top and come down the bottom. Okay, once you run around, then I'm going to come down the opposite side. And I am doing this on both sides. Again, how much detail you add is completely up to you, depending on your project. This is a very detailed flower. The petals are very detailed, so I wouldn't recommend hand cutting it. I do offer a print cut trace, which means you can resize it in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint to the sizes I have noted, print it out, and hand cut the petals, but as you'll see, they are super duper detailed. So we're still gonna take that vintage photo, and now in the center, you're gonna do a circular motion and blend it out. Again, I'm choosing to use a brown. You can use whatever colors you want or not. Okay, flip it over and then add it to the center. Circular motion and out. I'm just here to inspire you and can't wait to see all of your creations with Template 12 mini flowers. She's beautiful. Okay, we're gonna set that to the side. I have them stacked according to largest to smallest. So this is petal 1 design. So for all of petal 1, we're gonna take our vintage photo. And again, I'm just gonna go around one side, and I'm gonna get these on the inside here. And we're gonna do this on both sides. So I come down the right side first. So you can see she's quite detailed. This is not a flower that will probably make super small just because of the detail. Okay, again, then brush it on the inside. So you're just going around the edges. This is why I love this. I don't know what inspired me. I just sit down and I draw on my iPad, and this is what comes out sometimes. Super gorgeous. Now we're gonna come down the opposite side. And again, we're still gonna make sure we go hit that little petal here. Okay, just come down. So it will get all over your hands. So depending on what color you're using, you may want to use some gloves. And I do sometimes, depending on the colors. So with this color, this is a soft peach actually. It comes through beigey on camera. Right, and then we're going to flip it over and do exactly the same thing. So we'll come down one side. So you can see I didn't do the left side. I go through and I do one side first. Again, get in that little crevice there. So this is all a petal 1 design. She'll be beautiful to make a flower just on her own. We are combining all the parts of the petal or the template, the 2 petal design, sepal and center. Okay, once we did all the right side, now we're gonna come down. We flipped it over and you can see we have to do our other side. So now it's still on the right. Hope that makes sense. It's just the way I like to ink. It seems to go a little bit faster. And you can see I'm not super clean with my ink. It's a lighter color, so you want to choose a lighter and a darker, or no ink at all. So if you didn't want to ink your petals at all, you can just skip ahead in the video. With the purchase of my templates, you do get a written instruction document with the size chart, the tools listed, a link to this YouTube video, and step-by-step written instructions with photos. Okay, so now that we inked all of petal 1, we're going to add some ink in the center. So in a circular motion, take your finger dabber and add some ink. So then going out of each petal, you're going to brush out. Okay, and then flip it over and we're going to do exactly the same thing. Circular motion and then blend out. And you can see I did all of template 1, or petal 1, I'm sorry. Okay, petal 2 design is a little bit more crazier, but oh my gosh, it's so much fun. So this would be our layer 6, starts with petal number 2. So for layer 6, again, you're just gonna go around each. So I literally will just go around each edge and then I'll come back through, flip it over and come down the other side. And then again, you do your center and brush it out. Okay, that's just layer 6. Layer 7, we started with that same technique of the vintage photo all around. And then I added with my brush marker black on the tips of all the little parts of the petal and even the long skinny ones, both sides. And then I went through with ground espresso. So I will show you that step right now. So it was 7, 8, and then the last one is layer 9. It's exactly the same. So they're all the same. So you can see I'm just literally going to come down the right sides. And I'm using that vintage photo. I don't worry about the 2 tentacles, as we'll call them. Okay. I'm going down all the right sides, as you can see. So I did that, so now I flip it, and now we're going to come down the opposite side, so it's still on the right side, just because I'm right-handed. So however you choose to ink is fine. If you're choosing to use white paper, you can ink the whole petal if you wanted to. Again, ink as much or as little as you want in the written instruction document. You can skip ahead or even in this video so you can see. So now we flip it over and we do exactly the same thing. I hold it at the tip to keep it stable. Remember, we're going to add some black marker and ground espresso. Okay. And now we'll come down the opposite side. Almost there, friends. And then again, you do your center. So place it down on your scrap piece of paper, circular motion in the center, and then brush out. Okay. Flip it over, circular motion, and brush out. Beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to take my black marker and I'm just going to add a little bit of color to the tips of the long tentacles and these little petals. Just a little brush. It's not exact. I don't want it to be exact. Makes it almost look like deer antlers for sure. Okay. Now we're going to flip it over and do exactly the same thing. And it does bleed through a little, so you can easily see where to add it. All the little, tiny little petals, even the long, skinny ones. And now I'm going to come through with a darker color, Ground Espresso. And I'm going to hold the set of petals here, and I'm just going to brush on the darker color to highlight the tips. So again, I'm holding that group and just brushing it on. So here's your group. I just hold it to give it some stability and then brush on your color. You can see how fun this petal or flower is going to be from these petal shapes. Really proud of this one. Flip it over and we're going to do exactly the same thing. Hold down the tips and then brush on that darker color. Okay, that was layer 9. So we're going to set this on a separate pile because that's going to be created as part of our center out. Now for our 4 centers, okay, you can see I did 2 of them out of the 4. So it's almost like the same technique that we did with petal number 2. So they're going to be on their pile here. And we're going to go through with the vintage photo. So I'll show you 3 of them will be styled like this. You're going to just brush on some of the vintage photo, the lighter color of the 2 ink colors you're using. Again, how much ink or which parts of inking you choose to do is totally up to you. So I'm going down the right side. I'm going to do this on both sides because this is the very center of our flower. Okay, and then I come down the opposite side, and it's not clean. It is going to be a much darker center. You could certainly watercolor these. I mean, again, totally up to you. You can use pan pastels, flip it over and do exactly the same technique. So 3 of the 4 centers are made like this, or inked like this. And then come down the opposite side. Okay, and then I'm going to add the vintage photo in the center. So I'm literally just doing a circular motion. Flip it over and do the same exact thing. Okay. Then we're going to take our marker again. So I'm going to use the brush tip, and I'm just going to add a little bit of color to the tips. It's not covering maybe the whole top part, maybe it's more from one side, it doesn't matter. I'm going to flip it over and do exactly the same thing. So you can see the color was bleeding through. And then we add our ground espresso. And we're just going to add it to the top. So I'm going to hold the 2 petals and just brush on the top. Okay, flip it over. Looks like fingers, doesn't it? Let your imagination run wild, is what I say. I hope you're having a great day, and thank you for stopping by. I am Julie with PhotoFabPaperFlowers, and we make lots of mini flowers, super-sized mini flowers, large paper flowers, and micro flowers. You're going to add some ground espresso right in the center. So we did go over top of our other one. And you just need to do it on one side. So that's 3 of the 4 centers. The 4th center is going to be our very center of our flower. So we're still going to do the vintage photo. Inking the edges. It's very light, don't worry. Okay. Now come down the opposite side. Okay. And then flip it over and do the opposite side. So you're doing both sides of the center. Just because it is the very center of the flower, and depending what you're using it in. I can't wait to see the colors that you choose to create this flower. Be sure to tag me, PhotoFabPaperFlowers. Okay. I just brush it on in the center. I think it's just because I'm used to doing that. And now we add our darker tips. I would definitely put something down on your work surface so you don't ruin your tabletop surface. Your tabletop. Brush and on the opposite side, again at the fingertips. It's almost like you're painting the nails of the center. As a good analogy. Now we're going to take our ultrafine Sharpie, come to a clean area, and we're going to draw lines down the petal. Okay? Doesn't have to be clean because it's going to be in the very center, but it just gives it some more, almost to mimic some texture or veining to the center. Just the very center petal. So 1 out of the 4 centers. And we're going to do this on both sides. Sometimes I just do it on one side, but I did switch it up to do it on both sides from my original design. Okay, so you can see it's not perfect. Flip it over. It's about 3 lines. You could use brown, any color. Whatever you think will complement your color paper. I kind of just keep it simple with the blacks and the browns. And you guessed it, we go back to the ground espresso. So pardon my reach. And we're going to do our tips. Okay, flip it over. I'm holding it and then just brushing it on at the tips. Then do your center. And then flip it over and do the center again. I just did both sides. I don't know if it was necessary. All right, now we inked. So we're going to keep again our last petals. We're going to flip over our petals. And for the sepal, we're going to use our green dowel rod. All right, so we're going to take out our color-coded dowel rod sets, which are available in my Etsy shop. Now, please be mindful, certain times of the year when I go away out of state of Pennsylvania for a few weeks, I do take them offline, because it would be a disservice if I allowed you to place an order and they wouldn't ship for quite a few weeks. So please be mindful. So if you do see that the whole paper tool section of my Etsy shop is missing, it's because I'm out of state. I always put a note at the top of my announcements on my page, but you can also reach out if you happen to see they're not there. But, and I will always post the deadline of when I'm leaving and when they can be available again in my Etsy shop. So we're going to take our color-coded dowel rods. So we're going to use the olivey green, which is the 1/4 inch dowel rod. They do come available in 12 inches, and then 6 inches is also available. And they do come, you can purchase them separately or as part of starter kits. All right, so we're going to place that dowel rod down in the middle of the petal. Okay, pinch it up with your thumb, let go, and roll it between your fingers. Okay, watch that again. So place that dowel rod down in the middle of the petal, thumb on top, index finger underneath, pinch it up, let go, and roll. So you can see it gives it a nice curl to the petal. Pinch it up and roll. Okay, you're going to flip it over because we're going to assemble it under. I like to assemble my sepals under. Now, certainly, if you don't like that look, you don't have to follow my instructions for that. All right, layers 1 and 2 are petal 1. So again, beautiful. I'm going to stack them because they're exactly the same size. We only ever roll petals of the exact same size, okay? So layers 1 and 2, again, we're going to use that 1/4 inch dowel rod, which is your olive green. You're going to place the dowel rod down in the middle of the petal. I kind of go at an angle, pinch it up, let go, and roll it along. Okay. Now, be careful with your petal here. So we're going to kind of go a little bit more at an angle. I'm going to pinch it up and make sure I get that curl there. So mine will come in a little bit more from the right side just because I'm right-handed. Sorry, sometimes I stand up to assemble my flowers. So to roll them, sometimes I find it easier to stand as well. Okay, layers 1 and 2 are petal 1, and they're rolled up with the 1/4 inch green dowel rod. It's an olivey green. They are all hand color coded. So if you happen to have a dowel rod set, feel free to use the colors so it's easy to follow along. Okay, so we're just going to stack them on top of our sepals so we have them all in order. Layer 3 is still petal 1. And we're going to use that 1/4 inch dowel rod again, which is our olive green. And now we're going to do a technique where you roll one petal up and one petal down. So place the dowel rod down in the middle of the petal, pinch up and around, and roll it between your fingers. You're going to skip a petal, pinch it up, and roll. Skip a petal, pinch it up, and roll. Skip, pinch, and roll. Okay, so 4 of your petals should be rolled up. You flip it over, and now we're going to roll the opposite side. Pinch it up and roll it. Place it down the middle of the petal, pinch it up with your thumb, and roll it. And then I just flip it back over. Okay. Layer 4, we're still using that 1/4 inch green dowel rod. And you're going to roll all the petals up. So place the dowel rod down, pinch it up, and roll. Okay, set that on your pile. Layer 5, we're going to switch our diameter dowel rod down to our blue, our coastal blue. 3/16. And we're going to flip back to the technique where we rolled one petal up and one petal down. So place the blue dowel rod down in the middle of the petal, pinch it up and roll. You're going to skip a petal, pinch it up and roll, skip, pinch and roll, skip, pinch it up, let go and roll. Flip it over, pinch it up and roll. Okay, so now one petal is rolled up, one is rolled under. Stack it. And now we're switching to petal number 2, which is our layer 6. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is use our precision scissors, and we're going to cut in between these large petals. Okay, so just make a slight cut in between. So it's going to just be 4 cuts in between each petal towards the center. So you can see those cuts. Now you're going to take your 1/8 inch dowel rod, which is your purple dowel rod. And we are going to roll the larger and the smaller. So place it down, and I'm going to go a little bit at an angle. It's just a little bit easier. Okay, so there's your larger, and then you're still going to go at an angle, and we're going to try and wrap those around. So you can either start over there and just wrap it to give it a curl. Again, place it down. You're just going to wrap it around and then curl the larger petal. All of them are rolled up. So wrap those little petals around. So for layer 6, we didn't add any black ink, or black marker, sorry. Okay. Add that to our stack. You can see the shape of the flower, how it's turning out. Layer 7 is where we added the black marker on both sides and the ground espresso then to the tips as well. So you guessed it, we're going to take our precision scissors and we're going to cut in between the larger, so you can see there's a larger gap. So just go right in between and do a slight cut towards the center. And we're doing one at a time because these are all different sizes from here on out. Okay, take your 1/8 inch purple dowel rod and you're going to roll them up just like we just did on our previous layer. Try and wrap those little petals around there. Take your time. Assembling, it's not very hard, as you can see. Most of the time will be spent inking if you choose to do so. Or maybe you just want to ink the center layers here, totally up to you. Okay, layer 8 is exactly the same thing. We take our precision scissors, we make our slight cut towards the center in between the two larger petals, groups of petals. So it's just 4 cuts. We're going to take the 1/8 inch dowel rod, curl the larger petal, and then the smaller again. Or again, just rolling the petals up with the 1/8 inch dowel rod. Now with your flower shaping mat and the smaller metal ball stylus tool, you can roll these thinner petals down from the top and lift them up. They're like little tentacles. If you look at it from the side. Okay, that's our stack of petals. Now we have our center. So we're gonna flip that over. And again, this is number 9, layer 9. You're going to use your precision scissors again, just like we did. Basically the same technique, we're just going to change the diameter dowel rod. So make your 4 cuts in between the larger petals towards the center. Now we're gonna switch to the Julie dowel rod. So in my dowel rod set, it is the 6-inch one with no color on it, and it's not noted on the current chart. I will have to add one on there. So it's skinnier than 1/8. So anything that you have that's thinner or skinnier than 1/8 inch. Pinch it up and roll. Okay. And again, you're going to use your metal ball stylus on your flower shaping mat and roll to pull up those 2 thin tentacles. Again, if they don't want to roll really well, you can just pull them up. So we're going to set that one to the side. And now for our 4 centers, I'm going to stack them. So remember, one of them, we added those thin lines on both sides. So let's stack them. You're going to take your precision scissors and you're going to cut in between each petal towards the center. Now I'm going to separate them. We're going to use the Julie dowel rod and we're going to roll them up. So I kind of go in the middle at an angle. Not kind of, I do. And then just roll it along. One will have more curl. So you want the darker ink to be facing upward. So you're going to see that it's a much darker center then. Okay. We're just rolling them around, a skinnier than 1/8 or thinner than a 1/8 inch diameter dowel rod. So if you have anything thicker, or smaller than the 1/8, we call it the Julie that comes in the dowel rod set. And the same thing for our last one, our very center. All right, you can set your dowel rods to the side. And now we just need our flower shaping mat, our metal ball stylus tool. We have our center out here. We're going to set that there. We're going to flip our stack over. You can set your sepal to the side, and we're going to take the two largest layers, 1 and 2. Set them out on your flower shaping mat. Layer 1, it doesn't matter which, you're not going to roll the center, so I put my finger there, and then take the second to smallest metal ball stylus and roll where the petals meet the base, right around that outer edge. And it's going to lift them up slightly. Add your hot glue. Okay. Bring it down, straight down in between the previous layers, petals, and press. Okay, layer 3. We did 1 petal up, 1 petal down. Roll the center where the petals meet the base on your flower shaping mat with your metal ball stylus. Add your hot glue. And I keep rotating my flower. Look at the top 2 petals. We're going to look at a petal and bring it straight down in between. Layer 4, petals were all rolled up, so roll right around where the petals meet the base. It's just going to lift them up. Add a little bit of hot glue. Okay, look at the top 2 petals. Look at a petal and bring it straight down in between. Okay, keep rotating it around. Now, this is our last petal of petal 1 design. So this is layer 5. One petal's rolled up, 1 petal's rolled under. Roll right around where the petals meet the base. Look at a petal. Bring it straight down in between the previous layers. Okay, now layer 6 is now our petal design 2. Roll it right in the center because we did cut it. We cut in between the larger petals, and what that does is make the center a little bit smaller so it fits into our flower. So glue right in that very center. Okay, look at the top 2 petals. Bring it straight down in between and press. Rotate it. Okay, again, roll it right in the very center. Sorry, it shakes the camera. Add your glue. And we're just going to place them in between. So now you can start to see how that black ink on or marker on the ends really adds some texture to the flower. Even though it's not textured, it's giving it a little bit more realism. I guess that's a better word. Okay, we're going to look at a petal and place it in between. It is a little bit harder, but you don't need to be exact with this one. And stir. Super duper pretty. And now we're going to create our center. So we're going to start with the one with the lines. We're going to lay them out in order. And I'm going to roll the very center. On my flower shaping mat with my metal ball stylus tool. Sorry, it does shake the camera when I roll. Okay, starting with the one with the lines, you're gonna fold it up and just gather it. Okay, add your glue. And I go a little bit around the sides. Place it in the next one. And if you were to pull one back, it would go in between. Okay, fold it up and around. And then just press along the bottom there. So when I say center out, this is what I mean. Add your glue. Glue it in there, and if you pulled it back, it would go in between the previous layer. So the very center one is the one with the line, so you can see that in there. Again, if you pull it back, it's going in between the previous layers. Fold it up and around. Add your glue. And now we're going to glue it into the center here. That would be a pretty flower with just a few more layers. Fold it up and around. Squeeze that bottom, press it together. Add a nice generous amount of glue, and we're just going to glue it right in the center here. So you can see how that inking and the coloring of the tips just made it a little bit darker in the center, and how we did our shading It just really gives it a lot of realism. So beautiful. And I'm not going to be stemming mine, so I'm just going to add some glue to the top with my sepal petals rolled under. And glue it in between layer 1 petals. And that is our beautiful template 12 mini flower. She's gorgeous in any color. And the leaves are super duper fun, kind of reminiscent of a dandelion, but I thought I'd design a fun shape to go with this beautiful flower. So thank you for watching. I hope I inspired you to make template 12 mini flower. Take care.